And we are live, yay! Hey everybody, it's Lisa with Lisa Marie Accounting here for another Sass It Up Live. And my guest today is Shaulyn van Baaren. And I'm super excited because, well, not only is she on my team and helping me with my events, but that's what she does. She specializes in that area, and we are going to sass up your in-person connections, all about those events and why they're important and what we can do to make them great. So without further ado, this is Miss Shaulyn. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, Lisa, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so very much for having me.
To have you.
My name's Shaulyn van Baaren, which is a mouthful, I know. What I do is I do events. I do in-person connections. I do live. I am a old-fashioned face-to-face type of gal, and I am one of those lucky few who found my calling very early on in life. And I have been in the event industry pretty much my entire career, which is nearly 20 years. I have a handsome Kiwi husband. I have 2 gorgeous daughters, 2 fur babies, and a turtle. But yeah, I have worked in the event industry for nearly 20 years, and I have worked with various different organizations, everywhere from high corporate to nonprofit, right through to private small business. And more recently, we've shifted our focus within my company to entrepreneurs and solopreneurs such as yourself.
Yeah.
We deliver live in-person events to promote and elevate that individual or that company's brand, products, and services.
Okay, so without further delay on this is the question I ask everybody because we all have it, and I talk about it daily about what mine is. What is your why? Why do you do what you do?
Why do I?
Besides it being fun.
It's fun. I mean, it is. I mean, it's not all rainbows and roses in the event industry, but really, I am a social butterfly. I mean, my AKA is social butterfly. I do what I do because I get to both be with people and service businesses towards delivering fun and good times, memorable experiences, because I believe that, you know, we can build these connections, we can build these communities, but something very magical happens when a business brings, or an individual brings, their people together in one room and let those personalities come together, collide, bang off each other, and just really, that fills my cup because I get to see how humans interact, and mostly I get to see how humans make and create their own fun in the situations they're put into.
We're going to see soon enough.
That's going to be
right. Okay, so tell the audience whether they're, and now if you're watching replay, let us know you're watching replay. We will have it up, and of course, if you've got any questions, please ask us so that we can answer. But why is it important to host or attend an in-person connection?
Because you are showing you. I mean, in this day and age of online communication, in online connection, we see pieces, we see snippets, and I hesitate to say highlights, but for a lot of, you know, small businesses and individuals looking to elevate their brand, personal brand, they're showing highlights of those amazing things and portions of their personality that, but what we don't see is the flip side of the coin. You know, sometimes the challenge
Uh-oh. Where did she go? Okay, we're having technical difficulty. There you went. Are you there? That was a technical difficulty.
I just got a flash in and a flash
I
in.
know. Okay. And the hurricane's not here yet, by the way, so that was not me.
Oh my gosh, and I don't have snow yet.
Yeah, we were talking about that, right? Y'all are expecting snow, and we have a hurricane coming. So, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so what were you saying? We'll be laughing about this for like days to come, right?
And then all of a sudden the screen went blank. No, what were we talking about? Being in person.
Connections. Megan saying no snow, please. I'm like, seriously, y'all are already expecting snow, and I'm coming in a month. I don't know about all this.
I will see what I can do. I will put in a call with somebody.
Right, put a call to Mother Nature. No snow.
I got her on speed dial.
Right? Well, please tell her to take the hurricane another direction too.
I'll make a call after this one. I got to go in order with fire.
So no, in-person connections. Yes, Lenore, we're staying safe. We're inland, so we're about as safe as we can get, but we're prepared, and we're just to wait and see. But yeah. So and wicked job, ladies. Oh, we're wicked. You ain't seen nothing yet. See, it's what we get. Girls have been home only for 2 days already, and it's gotten wild, y'all. So why is it important to attend or host those in-person connections? Because, for example, I am online. My business is a virtual online business, profitability coaching, and I am hosting my first in-person event. And so I think it's important for people to understand why it's important to do that.
Because they have to realize that there is a connection between what they do see online and what is real in person, and they can you become more tangible. Part of that is I mean, in this day and age, we are our brands. Whether you're a CEO of a large company or whether you are a solo or entrepreneur, you are the face of your company. People want to know when they look at purchasing your product, whether they look at whether or not you personally align with their core values, whether your values align with theirs. I'm a firm believer of like attracts like. I mean, we've all heard the quote, you are the average of the top 5 people that you hang around with. But when you bring in people from those outer rings, right? And and you bring them into your circle, like still has to attract to like. You still want to align with people who are of like mind, who are of like values, and therefore you are more willing, whether again they are a corporation or an entrepreneur, willing to support them, because at this, especially in this day and age of online presence where the world is so very small, the person that you may align with may not necessarily be the person down the block or even your best friend. But it is when you get those 2 people in a room or multiple people in a room, they now have confirmation or have the ability to have confirmation that you are who you say you are and that you are practicing what you preach.
Well, and that's true too. We can actually say that because, I mean, think about it. We met at an event through a coaching event, and a lot of the ladies that I know, and for a perfect example, my fitness trainer, I met through, again, the event and an in-person connection thing. And it wouldn't have happened if we wouldn't have had, it might have happened later, but it wouldn't have happened as much so now if it wouldn't have been for that. And so now, not only do we work together, but we also have a friendship. And so those are things that are really important. Like you said, the like invites the like. And again, I do basically all of my business virtual. It's online. And so I think it's important too, because they actually get to see, like you said, the vulnerability, but they also get to see, I don't know, they get to see you as in your true self, because you can't hide the mistakes. You can't hide those things. Like you said, the little pieces and parts. They're going to see the the true you in all its glory.
Exactly. And I mean, I'll take it one step further. And, you know, when you ask the idea of the importance of why you would either attend an event or host yourself, and it basically boils down to that basic need that for human connection. Humans have a need for human connection. Online movies and networking and groups and all of these type of things are so readily available at our fingertips, but we forget that that basic human need of human contact and connection is there. I mean, so at the root of it, that is the importance of why you want to bust out of your shell, why it is that, you know, even as an entrepreneur, but as an individual, you have to flex that muscle of connection and communication and actually being personable, a person, right?
And then that's the biggest thing, is when you do those connections and when you have those events, that being personable is a big thing. I mean, you don't want to hide it, because then if you are hiding your true self, you're not going to make those connections. And yeah, it is vulnerable. I will be the first to admit that. And I am all in the vulnerability right now. I'm going to be totally honest. And Miss Shaulyn here has been helping me through that. Let's just be honest on that aspect too. You're right, Lenora. Vibes don't lie. People feel you, and that's honestly, that's true. And you know, online, sometimes people will say things and we're not sure how we're supposed to take it, but in person, there's those true vibes, and it's really important. So, okay, so how should we go about choosing which events to attend? Because let's be honest, there are a lot of events, whether you are selling a product and you have these vendor events, or you have, like mine, you have a one-day workshop, you have these things. How do you choose which events to actually go to? Because I've looked, there's a ton of them.
Yeah. On any given week, on any given day, on any given weekend, in any given area, there are hundreds of events to choose from. Again, we bring it back to the idea of human connection. People want to be out there, and so people like myself are providing that opportunity. So how do you choose? And we're going to talk about this as a business owner, okay? In terms of getting out there and networking, whether it's selling or not, it's really just about being visible. How do we choose? So depending on where you're at in your business, will depend on the frequency in which I typically recommend making yourself visible at different type of events. At the core, what you're going to want to take a look at is, number one, be mindful of your time, okay? Networking, in-person events are just one focus and one facet of your business. And just like anything, you have to schedule that in among your timeline, in amongst your marketing plan, in amongst your family and home life. You have to set it as a priority, and then you have to schedule and make time for it. So for some, that may look like 3 networking evenings or client meetings or vendor events a week. Most likely, that's high frequency. If you're building, if you're ramping up to something, if you're launching something, you have to, and you're going to want to be more visible. And there are timelines that, you know, I recommend, you know, for people who are launching new products and launching new services, frequencies on when they should be visible and how frequent. But it all comes down to where that you prioritize that in your timeline. Number 2, you're going to want to take a look at very much who aligns with what it is that you are trying to achieve as a business. Again, we're going to take it back to those core values. An example. So if you are such as yourself, Lisa, right? Like, again, if we're ramping up to your intensive here in Airdrie. It makes it a little bit, you know, more difficult for you because you're not physically in Airdrie. However, there's a reason that we've put your timeline in advance for you to arrive 5 days early, right? So that we can ramp up that in-person connection, get as many people in a room or in a social engagement with you at the same time. And those are the people that we're going to invite, the people that we're going to target, the people that we're going to look at are people who are looking for product or service, people who align with the goals that you have for your intensive, because your intensive is all about serving others, right? So therefore you've created a need, and we are going to look for and target in a business from an event standpoint, we're going to target those who are also looking to serve within their business, who are at a certain level where they need your service, so that it becomes a like, so it becomes a symbiotic almost type of relationship where everybody is learning, everybody is growing together. Hosting live events, that is a whole other, I feel like that's a whole other conversation, Lisa.
Probably so.
I mean, for today's
we can talk about that for hours.
Right? I mean, like, if you, as a business owner, if you're taking a look at, you know, where and when you need to be visible as a business, as your brand, as you're going to want to take a look at what your schedule looks like for those client meetings. Because again, if you're taking those top 5, top 10 clients and you're not necessarily wining and dining them, but if that's part of your business, then yes, that's required. But in-person meetings, in-person consultations where possible, that's an in-person connection. That's considered an event. The next you want to take a look at is you want to take a look at networking opportunities. And there are thousands. There are women's groups. There are business networks. It's called BNI, Business Network International. There are communities that hold meetups like Hello Life Academy, and a few others that I have attended on and off. And what you have to do is you have to kind of pick and choose. Do your research. Take a look at their websites. Ask a friend, because that's usually how you get invited. Ask a business bestie how their meetings are run, how their networking functions are run, what their impressions of. These things don't have to take mass amounts of time, but if you are going to spend, you know, upwards of 3 hours at a networking evening, and that's typically what they are, and you're going to spend your income, right, or operate part of your operational budget, we'll talk about that later, on a glass of wine, on appies, on buying a potential partner or collaborator a glass of wine just so that you can chat. If you're looking at spending those dollars and spending your time, you can afford a little bit of time to do the research on whether or not at the core that is going to align with what it is that you are trying to achieve.
Right. So say, for example, we have a product, then how do you choose what vendor events to go to? Because I mean, we have a lot of people that we know that have products, and I think, again, there's just so many. So how do they go about choosing or researching or just knowing which one would actually be one to try it, like just for her, or what is it, Mrs. Claus? Yeah. See, I remember them. You know, I mean, those are big ones. Those are 2 big ones that you do, and I know, again, there's hundreds. So how do you know? Is it still the same way to do the research and look and see, you know, what they're aligned with, and go that way?
Yes, I mean, at the beginning of your research, I mean, it all comes down to research. It's almost like beating a dead horse, or like a record going around and around and around. I am a research junkie. I'm a bit of a research nerd, and sometimes I can research the heck out of things, but I've learned how to do it more efficient and effectively, to let my gut then take over to make the right decision. I've read what I need, and this is either a yes or a no. I'm going to pursue it further. When it comes to vendor events, that's a really great question, because That is something that I'm hugely passionate about, because there are so many on any given weekend, and they range in price from free to your firstborn child in terms of a registration fee, and people have no idea what to choose. And so I've actually created my masterclass, a free online masterclass, to go through my top 5 tips on how to select those, because I receive that question so often. If for the short answer, now that I've made this like the extended version,
that is, I mean, I can imagine that's I mean, because I'm asked a particular questions like all the time too. So, I mean, I can imagine that you're asked that very often. So in the short, what should we do?
So what you're going to want to do, the very first thing that you want to do is you want to check out the event organizer. Again, this basically goes back to like attracts like. If you're going to see, you want to see who is organizing that event, and whether it's an individual such as myself, or whether it's a core company, a large event management company, you want to make sure that, you know, that their values align with yours. Okay, you're going to want to take a look at whether that target demographic and the potential attendance for those events are something that you are within your target demographic. So for example, you know, someone who is a car mechanic who contacts me or has an auto body shop to participate in Just for Her, a women's event. Now, is that their target demographic? The truth is, probably not, but not necessarily no. Those are we start to go through, because women own cars. Women need auto bodies because they, you know, typically they may know how to change oil, change their tires, things like that themselves, but do they really want to? So again, it's taking a look at that target demographic and finding out whether or not it's going to align. Okay, from there, you're going to want to make sure that whatever you're paying for a registration fee, as well as all of your additional expenses that go into there, that event, things like inventory, things like decor, things like your gas to and from, and all the food you're going to have to eat while you're on site. Do all of those add up to the potential to give you a return on that investment, right? I do not recommend anybody, and even my vendors coming into my shows who contact me, I do not recommend to them to take a loss on an event unless they have a solid plan in place on how they're going to recover that. Okay. And then it's really, if you've got that far and you realize you like the event, you like the organizer, you're gonna make some money, or you can see that you're gonna make some money or a return on your investment, lead generation at this event, then it's really making sure that you cross your T's, dot your I's, and you know everything that is expected of you in that event and that you are expecting to receive from that. And then it's starting to ask your questions. Okay, if you don't have the answers in your application forms, you ask the questions.
Hey, I'm all about asking questions. Okay, so say for example, we're at an event, we've picked the event, we've chosen it, we've done our homework. How do we go about leaving an authentic impression? Because I think this is really important.
What you're going to want to do is, so if you've picked your business, number one, it has to scream you. Okay, so everything from your booth decor, right? You're going to take a look at things like when somebody walks in that event, you know, and we're talking vendor events, or even when they walk into that networking room and you're standing there, you want to take a look at, first and foremost, presentation, your personal presentation, your booth presentation. You want to bring your A game, quite literally, to every event that you are at. I believe, and not everybody does, but my belief is, if I am dressed for success in any given in any given situation. And dressed for success means different things to different people, right? But if I feel like if I am dressed for success in any given situation, my level of confidence, my level of communication, my smile is bigger. My conversation is more confident and comfortable because I am comfortable and confident in my own skin. So the very first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you're presenting your most authentic self, okay? And that most authentic self is also your most confident self. Okay?
And that makes sense. Because like for me, my most comfortable self or my most authentic self, hello, I'm Sassy Southern. So it's going to be a pair of blue jeans. Sorry, but they're going to be dressed up blue jeans and a nice dress up shirt. And if it's really cold, it's going to be in some boots because that is my authentic self. And ever since I've been in this world and out of the corporate, let me tell you what, I can dress up some blue jeans. I've gotten really good at it. And again, like you said, that's my authentic self. And I'm showing my true personality, and I'm showing my true authentic self. And I'm going to be comfortable and I'm going to be more relaxed because I am. So that makes perfect sense. How it's different for each and everybody.
It goes for, presentation and your outward appearance is one component. The next thing that you want to be speaking to your level of knowledge, okay? And asking questions, because it's allowing yourself to be vulnerable and confident at the same time. So again, it's if you are selling a product, it is giving people the facts. People like facts at the end of the day. They don't want to know if you're sugarcoating it. They don't want to know the fluff. For the most part, people listen to individuals who are sharing the facts, not in a, let's say, blowhard type of way, right?
Right.
Especially in a day where, and I use it all the time, but in a day and age where everything is super amazing, right? Not everything is super amazing. But, if you're speaking to the facts and you're saying that this is what this product does, this is what this service can do without making any false claims, then you're staying within your authenticity. On the flip side of the coin to that conversation is you're going to want to ask questions. What interested you? What interested you in this product or service? What brought you over to my vendor booth? If you're at a networking event, how did you get involved in what you do? Why do you do what you do? It's really allowing that other person to speak and be heard, and that it creates a dialogue as opposed to a monologue.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that, because you're showing interest in them, so you're caring. And you want to do it authentically again, and then 2, you're actually giving them your attention and you're listening, and that's huge. I mean, that's huge for anybody, I think. So I like that. Okay, here's my favorite conversation: budgeting and return of investment on marketing. And you and I've had this conversation about my event several times. And as everybody knows, I'm going to be honest, I absolutely love, y'all hear me say all the time, budgeting is so important. It's very important. I handed over my event budget to her because I didn't want anything to do with it. And the reason why was because, well, 1, I have no idea what in the hell goes into all of it. 2, it makes sense for someone else to help direct me on that. And I think because I want to make sure I am getting my return of investment. And now, again, your return of investment doesn't necessarily have to be money, okay? Return of investment can be the connection, your list building, potential clients, or it could be money, or it could be a combination of all 3. I think that's really important, because you have to actually weigh those out when you're making those decisions. So talk to us about the budgeting and the return of investment on marketing. because marketing it's part of our daily business. It needs to be, and it's a big part of the event planning, as I'm seeing and finding out, and I think you talk about it a lot as well.
Right. So again, kind of two sides. If you're taking a look at attending events or hosting events, two kind of different things.
Right.
I'm looking anything, and you actually helped me with this one, because I'm a bit of a budget nerd. I for the events that I do, I mean, we're dealing with sometimes a boatload of money, and so I need to make sure that all of my pennies are counted, not my panties.
What is going on? Okay, look, this is weird.
I know, it's weird. So Lisa, for anybody watching, if you're watching the replay, whatever, whichever one you're doing, Lisa actually helped me with this one. And so what I do is, when I look at my networking events, when I look at those evenings that I am going out to specifically either client network or going to client meetings, etc., I put that cost into my monthly operational budget. Those costs are what is required for me to do business. I have to meet with clients at coffee shops, or go for a glass of wine, or go to networking meetings, because that's where I find my clients. And therefore, that is my cost of doing business. So those costs for me to attend in person go into my operational budget. On the other side of the coin, if you are attending events as a business, so if you are attending a vendor event, if you are attending a pop-up event, a market, a trade show, if you are hosting an event, such as an intensive, or, right, or a client appreciation, or a product launch, if you are hosting an event, but if that is as your company as an entity as opposed to you as an individual, each and every one of those events should be budgeted for as an in and out, a revenue versus expense. Okay, again, I don't want to scare anybody by this. These things can be done very, very quickly. Lisa has some amazing templates. I have some amazing templates on how to very quickly track your in and out on events.
Yeah, I love your template for the in and out on the event, because you have it. You, honestly, goodness, y'all. So if you're attending a vendor event, you've got your revenue, and then you've got the expenses. And same way with me hosting an event, you got the potential revenue, and then you got the potential expenses, and you're able to see bottom line what it's going to be. And no, it's not all about money. And I'm going to be the first to say, my event's not all about money. It's because I want to connect with other women, and I want to teach them how to have sassy money management, that it is possible. But on the same token, you still have to look at those numbers, because if you don't, then you have the likelihood, and I'm just going to be honest, of screwing yourself. And you really don't want to do that. You don't want to screw yourself, and you don't want to screw your business. So you want to look at those numbers, even for like the event, and see the in and out. Now, how do you, and I know return of investment is different for each person. So I think that's important, as well as how to determine when the return of investment it correlates and it's a good thing. Does that make sense? I don't know if I asked it the right way.
Absolutely. I think so. I mean, and I think where we were going with that is, when you see those numbers in front of you, the revenue that you expect or project to generate versus the expenses that what you're going to spend, you're going to come up with that bottom line. And that may look like, plus $1,000, or right, like, let's just use 1,000 as an example, plus $1,000. And now you have choices. Do you want to pay yourself that $1,000? Do you want to use some of that to market that event further so that the reach is bigger? Do you have requirements within your operational budget? You know, do you need new technology? Do you need a new car? Things like that, where you can start banking money, but now you can make an informed decision because you know. Or do you put that into a miscellaneous contingency fund for that event in case that revenue doesn't go as planned? So many options. Consequently, if you're in the red $1,000, so if you're in $1,000 deficit, you then have that knowledge. Does it mean that you shouldn't attend or do that event? I'd think twice, but depending on the type of event, you may take a look at that and say, what is my client potential from that event? Like, what is my lead generation? Do I have the opportunity to make that up by still hosting the event and offering add-ons? See, the core of it all is by having that budget for each and every event, whether it's in the red or in the black, you have the ability to make an informed decision. And that's all that business owners do or need to do. That's what CEOs do. They have teams, they have staff, or they can be themselves. The more informed you are, the more successful you have the potential to be.
And you don't have to make it doesn't have to be complicated, right? You don't have to make it complicated. And I think I'm good at that. Trust me. I think there's times that we get a little nervous or we start to make things complicated. And so we make them so complicated that we don't actually look at it and say, okay, would it be good for me to attend this event? Or would it be good for me to attend this vendor event and put my products out there? And I think what I want to stress, and I think you'd want to stress it too, is that it's just so important. Don't overthink it, and we're all guilty of that. And don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. It's a simple thing, and if you make it simple and you list it out, it gives you power, which again gives you knowledge, and then you're able to go in as your best self and show your product off, whether it's your service or your product, right? I mean,
Exactly. And like I said, like Lisa said, like it doesn't have to be complicated. I mean, we can talk for 30 minutes or more about budgeting and things like
hello. You're talking to me. I can talk all day about it. Come on.
But I mean, at the end of the day, abide by the KISS principle. Keep it simple, right? But you know, like, money in, money out, and be as detailed as you can. Keep in mind those little things that you don't normally think of. Gas, food, beverage, decor, inventory, packaging for that inventory, and then start doing the numbers. And once you have that template set up, once you do it once, truthfully, you can do it in your head. So it's not something that takes an hour each time you're looking at a vendor event, or, you know, should I host this intensive? It's not something that takes hours. This is quite literally something that can take 10 minutes, right, to start off and put those core things in a budget on paper so that you see them, and all of a sudden that weight just gets lifted off of your shoulders and you're like, okay, this is either a hard no or it's a yes. And if it's a yes, where do we need to start tweaking? And that's fun. That's the fun part of an event, right?
Yeah.
So keeping it simple, but being informed,
right,
will allow you to walk into, like you said, any event and be comfortable knowing that you're not out of pocket, or, you know, you have a purpose to this event, and then you just go and you do it. Because at the end of the day, we're all in business because for the most part, we love what we do.
right.
And we're informed about it, and we're skilled at it.
Mm-hmm.
If there's nothing going on in the back of your head about where's the money coming from, what am I even doing here? Should I be here? Do I like these people? Do these people like me? If none of that is going on, you literally get to walk into any event and just have fun.
And be yourself. And that right there, I think, is the key, is you get to be yourself and have fun. And that's amazing. That's huge, I think.
And then your people find you.
Right. Which I like. Yay. Okay, so you said that you had a master class. Are you and I attended it, y'all. It was actually awesome. Are you going to be hosting that again? Is that something that people can sign up for if they're interested, or are you hosting another one? Because I didn't know.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it all again on September 20th at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So this time we're doing it during the day. We had a really great response, and a lot of people really said that they enjoyed what they heard, and we've had a lot of people say that they were sorry to miss it. So we are doing it again September 20th. We're talking about how to select the perfect vendor event to maximize your ROI.
Hello.
Right?
Will you put it in the link in the comments then for anyone that is interested in signing up, so that they can make sure that they are able to sign up? Do you have the link already?
I will post the link in the comments to this for anybody who wants to sign up, just so that you know, even if you can't attend live, it will be recorded, but you must be registered in order to get a copy of that replay. So if you are a business or an entrepreneur who has questioned about whether you should go to vendor events or not, or if you've had not such great success at vendor events in the past and are looking to tweak that facet of your marketing methods, then take a look at it.
Yeah, right? I think it's awesome. I think it's because, I mean, that's something I'm looking at adding, is more events, and I think it's really important to have that knowledge. And let me tell you, she knows her stuff. So if anybody doesn't have any questions when you watch it in replay, if you have questions, please ask. Thank you so much for everybody who attended. We got lots of love. We had Shemaine and Beth and Megan and Lenora, and I see Kristen on here. She was laughing at us, by the way, when you said panties instead of pennies. That was kind of funny. And we've also had technical difficulty for some unknown reason. We both at some point in time went out. So thank you for sticking with us through that. That was kind of interesting in itself. And I appreciate you coming and being my guest and giving us all of this awesome information, because I really think it's important. And I'm still learning lots of things just from the one I'm about to host, and then wanting to actually host more. So I'm sure there's going to be things that we're going to change as we go, and it's going to be awesome. So we're going to be hosting more next year. And growing it, right? I think that's what we talked about. Yeah, we're gonna make it bigger, right? Yeah. So thank you very much for coming. I appreciate you being here and being my guest. I enjoyed it. Y'all make sure that y'all click the link when she puts in the comments, and sign up for that, because I know it's going to be a lot of really good information. So until the next one, we will talk to y'all later.
Bye.
And